My name is Adrian Amandi. I am the director of the Education Resource Center at the California School for the Blind. I'm thrilled about our Tuesday Tea today. Notice to everyone who is here, this is our last Tuesday Tea of the 2020-2021 school year. While this kind of came to be in the pandemic and distance learning, we recognize the value of it and we plan to continue it into next school year. And so you'll see a new slate of opportunities and presenters and speakers and discussion for next school year. But without further ado, I'm excited today that our speakers are doing a titled presentation, Braille Brain, a Braille training program for educators and family members who want to learn Braille. We have three of our Southern California teammates in the field, Sheryl Kamehamehan from Cal State LA, Kim Blackwell from the Escondido Union School District, and Gina Mitchell from Cal State LA as well. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Adrian, for the introduction. My name is Sheryl Kamehamehan. I'm a professor at Cal State University, Los Angeles, and the coordinator of the Teacher Prep program in Southern California. And I'm excited to be here for the last Tuesday Tea as you're all winding down this school year. Hopefully I'll inspire you to inspire others to practice their Braille skills and maybe even take a Braille class over the summer to help maybe your paraprofessionals, your family members, your parents to learn Braille. So we have some resources and materials we would like to share with you, and we look forward to hearing from you all about how we might be able to help. So with that said, I am also going to let Gina and Kim introduce themselves. So Kim, how about starting with you?
Hi, I am Kim Blackwell, teacher for the visually impaired in Escondido down south. And we've been working on this Braille Brain project together. It all started when we needed another resource to help our parents and our paraeducators, and it has blossomed from there and gotten bigger. We're happy to share it with you today. Gina?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. My name's Gina Mitchell. I work as an adjunct professor in the teacher preparation program at Cal State LA. And I also am a TVI in the field here in Southern California as well. Really excited to share this project with you today.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So Braille Brain, as Kim mentioned, was inspired by some work that Kim had been doing with her families and paraprofessionals down in the San Diego County region, where she was hoping to provide some training materials that were user-friendly and that provided with her families and her paraprofessionals with enough Braille to get them going and feeling confident to be able to work with the students with visual impairments who were Braille readers. So she developed this training program back in about 2016, and she shared it with me at a conference, and we then were able to ask for some funding from the U.S. Department of Education, which we received. So we now have a rehab services agency project to be able to support these training materials, which allows us to disseminate it further and also further develop it. So with that introduction, I'll just tell you a little bit about it. Our goals were to create something that's user-friendly, something that is available, free, up and on the web that people can go to and use as a resource. And it did turn into an online training program that became quite robust. So we'll share with you the scope and sequence of what has been developed. It supports both UEB and Nemeth codes and also contains a library resource of teacher resources. It has both activities and an assessment tool to allow for practice and mastery of the different contractions in the code. The focus is on UEB literary code and Nemeth Braille, as I said before, and also to incorporate some best practices in providing Braille instruction, both in literary and Nemeth code. We want to make sure that our students have support in STEM instruction. So we're currently in the process of also developing a STEM library of teacher resources. Our goal by the end of this 5-year project, we're now in the year 2.5, we're hoping to train at least 100 people through this particular training program including teachers, paraprofessionals, and parents. So this is open for you all to share with others and pass it along, and we hope to have some folks register for summer training. The Braille training materials have both the literary code and the Nemeth, which includes both mathematical and scientific notation. And an aside, it does use the iBraille Challenge resources that were developed in the electronic Braille format, which is now called Reading and Adventure Time and Writing Adventure Time, which is free and in the App Store, and it's working for an assessment tool. It follows the levels structure of the Braille Challenge that includes the freshman, apprentice, freshman, sophomore, and junior varsity levels. Because what we were finding is that the remediation tool of the Reading and Writing Adventure Time was not needed in the high school levels, we pulled out the high school content and we inserted content that is in alignment with the Braille Brain training program to align with some of the passages that would help for training if you're learning Braille. And Kim is going to go over the scope and sequence of the training materials.
Hello. Okay, so we have, as Cheryl said, there's two components to this training program. There is the literary component, which is a UEB Braille, which also, if you kind of look at the what we'd call a table of contents over here, it is embedding UEB math as well. So Gina, if you could go one more slide. There are 21 units and it covers the Braille, the entire Braille literary code. And as you can see, it also, you have shapes and omissions, you have math symbols, and it will bring you up to pretty much as much math as you need to go into high school. Let's go ahead and move forward. Here's a couple of page samples. I'm going to open the program in a few minutes and give you a better look at it. But the program has, each unit has an instructional page, questions for practice, and it, go ahead and move one more. And it also has a reading fluency section where there's a paragraph. We call those reading workouts. Go ahead and move on one more. At the end, there's a final transcribing test, which is kind of fun to see how you've done. Go ahead and advance. Okay, the Braille code. Here's a quick table of contents for the Nemeth Braille code. As you just sort of glance through it, you see that sequentially it gets more difficult as you go. It's meant to be set up so that if you're a paraprofessional or a parent and you are just beginning, you can learn the numbers, you can learn basic, plus, minus, equals by just going through a couple of units. And as things get more difficult, things are presented so that someone doesn't feel like they have to complete 21 units before they can ever help their student or their child. Go ahead and move on to the next one, Gina. As you can see, the Nemeth code it's quite comprehensive. We move into set notation, functions, a lot of different modifiers, enough to cover algebra, geometry, and we go into chemistry. So I think at this point right here, I'd like to share my screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and open up the Braille Brain program, and you'll hear later how you can sign up for this. You'll be contacting Gina about that. So basically, we work off of the Schoology learning platform, and so basically, I will sign in as a student here. When you sign in, first thing you have to do is go to courses, and that will drop down the courses you have registered for. So let's just go ahead and show you the UEB program. So the UEB program, it has been really categorized and delineated in such a way where you can find what you need. Let's say that your student is learning single letter contractions. You're like, oh no, you know, what am I going to do? And you can just sort of glance down and see where that is. Actually, it's alphabetic word signs is what we're calling it here. If you're doing .5 contractions, You think, oh no, where are those? Here they are. So you definitely have to have an idea and go through it. But if you need to review or go back and use it as a reference, it is set up in such a way where it's supposed to be very friendly and very, very user friendly. So you can pull it up like on the spot and, you know, get a reference or get a little refresher. Okay, so each unit has an instruction page, a practice page, and a reading workout. Some of them have more than one instruction page. So I'm just going to give a quick overview. So for instance, Unit 9.5 indicators, there's a couple of rules. Simply, we've listed all of the .5 initial letter contractions. We've given some examples that are clear and easy to see. A couple more, how they're used embedded in other things. Some more examples as we go down, how they use part of a word or as a whole word. So as you can see, it is meant to be user friendly, to give you enough of an understanding with some rules for how this particular topic is used. And then there's, to follow up, opportunity for practice. The nice thing about the practice is you can do them 10 times. And I have people who do them 10 times. They just get faster and faster and faster. So the practice consists of, you know, filling in the blank, true and false. So let me just give you a quick example real quick. Oops, that's just, oops. I'm sorry, I went up to the top line. Okay, anyway, I'm not going to take time to do all that. I'm just going to write and leave them blank so I can get down here. Okay, also there are a couple of these. They're kind of fun to do. There's a couple of multiple choice, more transcriptions. So at the very end, after you submit, the nice thing about it is it will show you your mistakes. And we really believe that instant feedback is the way to go. And then you can look at that. You can go back, take the test all over again, transcribe true, false, little matching, multiple choice. Is just meant to, and it's meant to be in what we call comprehensible chunks. I'm just going to give you a quick view of the reading workouts. Reading workouts are self-monitored at this point. So it says set a timer and read this Braille passage. You know, good luck. So here you go. You read this Braille passage, hopefully keeping track of words you had trouble with, but also timing yourself. After you do that, you go to the reading workout answer sheet. Oh, it took me 6 minutes to read it. I'm reading at 17 words a minute. My goal is 25, basically to pass the California competency test in Braille. So everyone's working towards 25. And if you scroll down a little more, you get to see the actual print version of what you've just read. The Nemeth is the same. I'm not going to take a lot of time to go through the whole thing, but as you can see, it has been organized in such a way to be a reference as well. Goes into simple fractions, radical shapes, lines, modifiers, spatial math, comparisons. And I'm going to unshare now. And does anyone have any question about anything that I showed in that from the program?
I noticed the letters were a little small sometimes. Is there a way to zoom in other than just using the browser zoom of, like, you know, Control Shift plus, or
there's no way to enlarge the screen within that program. You'd have to use your browser screen to enlarge, or you'd have to enlarge on a tablet. Sorry, I've got to get my people back in the right spot.
do parents have an individual account, or do they have to have an account to log in and do that program, or
Yeah.
is it only available through your summer classes?
No, parents will log into Schoology and they'll create an account and they'll sign up as a student. And we have an access code for the course. And so basically they'll email Gina and she'll send them a page telling them how to sign up in Schoology, how to download the SimBraille Braille font onto their computer, and the access code for the courses. So anyone can take it, but you do have to have an access code. So we'll email those out to whoever is interested. And what I usually tell my paraprofessionals, like for instance, I have a brand new paraprofessional a week ago who just started on both programs. And I told her, I would like you to go through unit 1 through 3 in literary and 1 through 3 in Nemeth. That's all you need. That's all you need for right now. And it's not overwhelming. And so as time goes on, we can add to that. But we want to make it useful and not intimidating, because Braille can be intimidating.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for asking that.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any other questions before we scoot on to, I'm going to pass the presentation over to Gina. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and mute myself, and Gina, you can take over.
Alrighty, thank you, Kim. So we are in the pilot stage of this program. As Cheryl mentioned, we are just in our about halfway through our second year of our 5-year grant. So our first year was focused on the development of the materials, and now we are focused on piloting it, making sure we are correcting any errors, getting feedback from the participants, and then we will be preparing for our launch so that we can make this a little bit more public towards the end of this year. So far, our pilots have been very successful in our teacher preparation programs for our pre-service TVIs here in California and in Oregon. We are just wrapping up our pilots for this semester and quarter in Oregon State at the end of May. So we will have some more data to report after those pilots have wrapped up. What we've used this, how we've used this in teacher preparation programs has varied. Some professors are using it as kind of a precursor, an introduction to Braille as they come into the course. We have had professors use it in alignment with the textbook that they are using in the course, and assigning it as weekly homework or as extra review. We've had it used as extra credit during the semester and had it used to replace a quiz score. We also have a small pilot of paraeducators, instructional assistants that have been working through the program since January, and they are also wrapping up at the end of May. This is the smallest group that has piloted our program, and we are really looking to get some more participants in this group of either instructional assistants, and then we'd also like to have some families, parents or family members of students with visual impairments that want to learn Braille. We would love to have their feedback on this program as well. I know we have a diverse audience here, so I want to make sure that you know that there's something for everyone. As a TVI, you can recommend this program to your instructional assistants in your school district as a way to keep up with what their student is working on. If you are a pre-service TVI or working in a teacher preparation program, this program is very beneficial for training our incoming TVIs. And if you are a family member, this can really help you as your child or your family member is learning the Braille code, to help understand what they are learning and be able to work side by side with them, help them with their homework, help them read and write in Braille, and have an overall understanding of what they are working on. I'm going to play a couple student testimonials here. These are 2 pre-service TVIs that gave you a brief testimonial. First, we'll meet Jill. she worked as an instructional assistant for 9 years, and she self-taught, she taught herself Braille, but she didn't feel that she had the proficiency. So she just finished her first year in the TVI credentialing program here in Southern California. So let's listen to Jill. Let me see if I can get it to play right here in the PowerPoint. I'm sorry about that. I had prepared it to open, but I see it spinning. Sorry, that one is not wanting to open for me.
Not playing. Oh, there she is. We'll hear from Catherine. Sorry about that. So Catherine is a first year student in our teacher preparation program as a TVI, and she came into our program with no experience in Braille, no experience in this field at all. So she is a brand new Braille learner.
Hello, my name's Catherine. I'm a first year Braille student, and I found Braille Brain to be really useful in supplementing my Braille instruction. I just find the layout and the organization of it to be really easy to follow, and it's a great way for me to review the different concepts I've learned and test my knowledge. Specifically, I like that the practice tests not only test my reading and writing, but they also get at the rules and formatting, because this gives me a really good idea of where I'm at and what I still need to review. I definitely know I'm going to be using these courses to help me review for my upcoming Braille comprehensive exams. And I can also imagine that this would be a really great way for me to review later on and relearn some concepts and touch up on my skills if I need it when I'm a teacher as well. Hello.
Alrighty.
Hello, my name's Catherine. I'm a first year Braille student.
Alrighty. So that was Catherine, and we'll give Jill one more try. So she just wrapped up her first year in the program, and she just began working as a TVI recently. Spinning. No, Jill. We'll have to move on from Jill. What Jill shared with me was that she would like to use these resources. She actually printed all of the informational pages, all of the work that Kim did to give the information about the rules and the contractions. Jill actually printed all those and put them into a binder format and uses them as a cheat sheet. And she plans to use them to provide to her instructional assistants so that they can quickly look up any contractions or any symbols that the student is working on in their program at that time. So that is what Jill shared with us.
Your plans to do that after they've taken the course, or like as a supplement without taking the Braille Brain course?
Well, her goal would be to have people, her instructional assistants, to use the Braille Brain course, but we know that that's not always an option in every district. So she would provide them with at least those cheat sheets. Kind of brief instruction on all the different areas. It's a little less intimidating than having a complete Braille textbook to hand to a paraeducator, and a little more comprehensive than just a cheat sheet that has just the contractions. So it gives them a little more idea about how those contractions are used, you know, in context.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Catherine, another question. Maybe you're going to get to input. Catherine mentioned that it does her reading and writing. Are you able to do 6-key input into the
So Schoology cannot support 6-key input, but our 6-key input is supported by our Reading and Writing Adventure Time app. That is another part of our program. So that is also an option to work with the 6-key input with a refreshable Braille display and an iPad.
Nice. You said that at the top. I'll click eventually.
No, that's okay. Yeah, it's a very robust project that we're working on. There's multiple parts. So, but that's a really good question. That is important. We know that 6-key input is something that is important to learn. The Schoology portion of it focuses on the rules and kind of the comprehension.
I think it's fair to mention at this point, we're only in our second year of a 5-year project. So right now we've created the content, and there's somewhat scattered in terms of where they live. One of them is in Schoology, one of it is in the app, and then another one is an online website, which is on Paths to Literacy. Our hope is that at the end of the 5 years, they'll all get consolidated into one source.
I might add there is, at the end of the UEB course, there is a writing component. There is 450 words. Reading Braille, writing it in text, that has to be corrected manually. And there's also, that contains all the contractions, all of the Braille contractions, not every math contraction. There is also a print to be brailled on a Perkins Brailler, or to be printed out in PerkyDuck, to be emailed to, if it's coursed to a professor. Those both have to be graded manually, but there are two components. There is a transcribing Braille to print and then print to Braille. The Braille to print is 450 words, and the Braille to print is 450, and the print to Braille is 150 words, and they contain all of the contractions.
Okay. So as I mentioned, as Cheryl said, we are just entering our pilot stage. So we only have one small sample so far. We're wrapping up our next group at the end of May. We'll have another 30 or so students. So this chart illustrates the responses that we have received from the participants in the program so far. This is a 4-point scale. They are asked to rate the materials on a 4-point scale. And we do have 16 responses so far. And you can see that we are consistently getting around 3.75 of that 4-point scale in terms of the scope, the engagement, how fast-paced they are, and how organized we have made the materials. So our response has been really positive so far. We will add to this data as we begin analyzing our next pilot study. Oops, sorry about that. So just a brief discussion about our teachers' resources. As Cheryl mentioned, that piece of our project is currently located on Paths to Literacy. Right now it is in draft form. We currently have our literacy teacher tips up on the website, and we will be expanding that to include the STEM topics. So we'll have Nemeth and science resources in there. I do have the link to that where it can be located now. It's currently being edited to complete the literacy portion. And it includes a variety of topics of interest to TBIs, to paraprofessionals, and to families as well for literacy. And we're looking forward to adding the STEM piece to that as well. That's an overview of our program. We wanted to open it up to questions that you may have. Again, I know we have a diverse population here on this webinar, so please ask the questions that pertain to you in your position, in your district, or as a family member, and we can help you out with that.
Miguel, I see that you have your hand raised. You're able to unmute. There you go.
Hi, Adrian. How are you?
Good, man. Nice to have you join us. You have a question for the crew?
Yeah. So I did a course when I first started as a transcriber, and I mean this one sounds great. It sounds amazing. And how is it with as far as screen readers? Because I know the one that I took has like a visual learner option or a non-visual learner option. Is it pretty friendly as far as screen readers go? The websites and the courses.
The course.
Kim, do you want to take this?
Yeah, this is Kim. The course in Schoology, frankly, is not very friendly to a screen reader. It's fine for a screen enlargement. That's a piece that we're working on. And we're changing the format of the courses in order to make them, JAWS accessible and screen reader accessible. So what I have to do is apologize that that component is not quite done yet. And no, Schoology is not very friendly to the screen readers.
Okay, no worries. I
If-
mean, like you guys said, you guys are, you know, a 2-year project, you know, 5-year project. And,
Yeah.
yeah, so it
Gina,
sounds great.
would you do me a favor and unshare your screen so I can see who's talking?
Oh, sure.
That'd be great.
And
I
it,
just wanted to get an idea of who
Yeah.
is talking. Now, our idea, we had a couple of ideas of making it accessible. One was we're rewriting it. Rewriting all the text to be descriptive. Anything that, you know, anytime you have a dot or a picture, that would be changed to a descriptive, to be followed up by either a hard copy of all of the Braille examples of what was just spoken in print. So we've got some real good ideas for that. And if you have any ideas, we would really love to be emailed on that, because we're brainstorming how to make that the most accessible without making it too complicated.
Okay, yeah, I'll ask Adrian and for your information. I'll email Adrian and ask.
That would be great.
And I love the whole cheat sheet idea. I created a Braille copy for our pairs as they came on, because you know more and more came on as I, you know, started working more and more with our district. And yeah, I did the same thing where I created a Braille reference book where it had like the short forms, the standalone words, and all those. And I would hand those out to the pairs, and the TBI would, you know, obviously, or he would put the print in there, so there's room for print. But yeah, that's so great.
Yeah, that's awesome. What I think that the practice activities are so important because they actually make you use what you've just learned. And then the print to follow that I found that to be the most successful way to go, is, you know, go through it, do the activities, and have the print for a reference.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really useful.
that was a really good question. And it is important to note that at this point in our development, our focus is on non-native Braille readers. So our focus is to support those paraeducators that are brand new to working with our populations, to our pre-service TDIs, and our family members that want to support the students with visual impairment. So that accessibility piece is very important to us. We had to get the materials written first and up and running for our pilot, and accessibility as the next focus.
I also have a comment to follow up on that, Michael, and everyone else. If there's anybody who really feels proficient in math speak, that's a component that I've been considering using. So anyone who feels really, really strong in that, we're considering describing math problems and also creating the transcriptions to go along with them. But math speak is the way I'm thinking about going right now. So if you're really proficient, we'd like to hear from you.
I'm going to be putting my email address up in the chat for you. But if you are interested in participating or getting more information, please email me or go ahead and put your email address in the chat, and I would love to follow up with you and give you more information, share some more information with you, and answer any questions that you may have.
I have, on behalf of somebody who had to leave early, she said she's a paraprofessional working with a blind student and also a sighted student who's anticipated to lose her vision. So two questions. The first was she really wants to sign up. And so that is email you directly, Gina, to get connected. So I will send you both an email back. She gave me her email. Her second question is about my sighted student learning Braille, maybe for the future. Would this be good for them? They do not anticipate losing their vision in the next several years.
I would love to speak to this paraprofessional personally, because there's it depends on the age of the student. If the student is already a fluent print reader,
Yeah.
you know, there's so many things to consider when trying to build a program for someone who's learning Braille. So I would love to speak with a paraprofessional. Any of us would.
I get that question quite a bit, actually. So I can probably feed more people
Yeah.
also to you.
Yeah.
There's a lot of teachers that are they're frustrated because none of our standard Braille curriculums really make sense for teaching a kid who doesn't need Braille, but we want to prep them, and their team has decided to teach them early. And I know for a fact from our own Braille lessons on our site that some teachers have started using those for students, but this is so much more interactive, and it seems like it would maybe draw in a kid better.
I agree. I think if the kid were of the appropriate reading level, because you really need to be a proficient reader. I think that's a good idea. How could I say, using a lot of different methods, and then using one as a scope and sequence is what I prefer to do. And if you use this as a scope and sequence and then supplemented each lesson with something of the same topic, I think that would be a real good strategy.
That's cool.
I think it's also really important for the team, Kim, Gina, and I, to hear what the needs are, because as we're developing this, I said we were pretty early on in this stage. So if we're thinking about a new audience of also including kids who are readers needing to have other resources, that can certainly be on our minds. And if we know that there's that need, we can also try and address or speak to that.
Cool. Well, this is a good place to do it because this recording will go up and people will hopefully see this too later and can get that word out.
I have another quick question, Adrian.
I hear. Was that Miguel or Chester?
That was mine. Sorry. That was my phone.
All right. Did you have a question too, Miguel?
I had a question.
Yes, go for it.
Really quick. So is there going to be a I don't know if I missed this at the beginning, but a letter of proficiency that someone can receive after they completed the course? What kind of certificate? Or
we have definitely considered that, and we would like to hear more back about the desire for that. We already have a pretty much proficiency piece at the end of the UEB course that we considered like stating this person has passed this proficiency test. So yeah, that's a really good comment, and we would like to know more about what people would like out of this program.
Yeah, because when I applied on EdJoin, I uploaded my certificate, just showing that I was proficient in UEB and stuff. So
I think it's important to note that this program is not meant for transcribers. I see that there are a few transcribers on this call. The level of proficiency that individuals taking this course are going to get is not going to be as proficient as, say, passing the NLS exam. So I think that's important to know. But we definitely want to hear that feedback, and we will definitely consider adding some sort of either digital badge or something else to the proficiency level that you do get from this particular course.
Okay.
Yeah, great. Adding to what Cheryl said, the course was purposefully written at a less intense level than transcribers.
Yeah,
because if we were to add all of the nuances and all of the rules and all of the exceptions, it would not just overwhelm our pre-service teachers and bottleneck them in their learning, but the parents and paraprofessionals probably could not make sense of it. So I think we have it written in there somewhere that this is not meant for transcribers. Although I think it's great for transcribers, but when you have more, transcribers just need to know you go that extra step. You go to BANA, you go find what that extra step is, you go find that rule. So yes, it would have been probably 10 times as long.
Yeah, this is great for our paras though, because there's a lot of our paras. We have a lot of about 50, 60, in our VI program students. So our paras would definitely benefit from this.
Speaking for myself, and I don't have to do this anymore, but if you told me I had a Braille student next year, I would have a moment of panic and pause also. As a TVI who once was proficient in Braille, I view a lot of teachers, I deal with the dirty little secret of, oh my God, I haven't had a Braille student in years/decades. And here they come. I don't know how to teach Braille. I don't even know Braille. And I think that this can be great for certified TVIs as well. I think it's a really neat avenue and option to refresh skills.
One thing we did that I think will be helpful is we spent a considerable amount of time digging through the mode indicators, the mode switching indicators, the Nemeth, you know, the Nemeth switch indicators, the when you do grade 1, when you do grade 2, when you do number, when you do this, when you do that. And we dug through a lot of that.
Yeah.
And I feel like we really explained it well after much struggling. And that and the changes that have been made to the code that we really had to sort of like, okay, take a breath. Is this really the way we're supposed to be doing it now? You know, we really had to dig in there, and our editor, she had to check everything for us. So we think that we really did a good job of that. And that part, if nothing else, is really good because, as all of you know, we look at it and we go, oh yeah, what's that rule for that mode thing? And that it's a good refresher. Changes have been made. That's probably the short way to say it.
The other piece to add to what Kim, sorry, the echo.
Okay, let's try this. I'm using dual devices because my bandwidth on my video is not as good as my audio, so sorry about the echo. The other thing to add to what Kim was saying in terms of resources, we also put in a list of formulas, like common Nemeth formulas that students may see. I think that resource is really helpful because it shows you how to Braille these common formulas, and having that just as a resource, you won't have to look them up.
So many cool things that you guys are putting together with this. It sounds like such a fruitful space. I have a question from seeing that chart you put up, Gina, earlier, that showed how long people are working on it, and it was 9 hours a week. And I think I see here, like a lot of my TAs or dorm counselors from our school are on here, and I'm like, I'm not sure we have 9 hours a week to devote. What is the commitment?
I apologize about that. I should have talked about that when we were on that screen, and I did notice that earlier. So that sample are pre-service TVIs that took the course as part of their teacher preparation program. And so they had the option of when to use their time. So they had the full course of the semester, and some of them chose to do a little bit over the entire semester, and some chose to consolidate it at the end of the semester to complete it. So that number is a little bit intimidating. There are 20 lessons in UEB and 21 in Nemeth, and we anticipate each one taking no more than 1 hour to complete, including the instruction and the practice. Some of the lessons have 2 topics, and we'll have 2 lessons and 2 practice pieces, but we don't anticipate the course taking more than 20 hours over the entire scope of it. And we are finding that it's getting completed much faster than that. So that is a number that we do need to report because it was part of our survey, but that was a great question to bring up. In reality, it is not taking that many hours a week to complete. Thank you, Adrian, for pointing that out.
Of course.
I also had a question. Hi, my name is Gabby. I was wondering, I know you guys said that it's great for like TBIs and pairs to go back and look through it. Is there a limit to the program? Like once you're completed, you can still go back in at any time? Or is that something you would have to like re-register every time?
No, it's open, and each quiz you can take it 10 times. And I have paraprofessionals who prefer, like Adrian was asking, how much time do you spend? Some people want to spend more time. I had a paraprofessional who's taking each quiz 10 times. And the first one took 25 minutes, and then it took 15, then it took 10, and then it took 5, and then it took 4. And I think it was her way of reinforcing that skill just because that's how she wanted to do it. And obviously she probably took a little bit more time in the course because she wanted to reinforce information. No, this is meant to be open as a resource. Once you sign up, it shouldn't go away. And there's a lot of people here. I also wanted to thank you for saying that, because it reminded me of something I wanted to say, is that when you sign up, if you don't know if you want to take the whole course and you just want to sign up to preview it, you have that option. Go ahead and just sign up and preview. We all actually have a preview course if you just want to look at it and play around with it. And so when you communicate with Gina, just say, I just want to preview it to see if I want to give it to my paraprofessionals or my parents. And that's the best way to do it, because the preview course, we're not putting in any of our data that we need to turn in for our statistics. So please, we would like everybody on this webinar, this Zoom, we would like everyone to sign up in the preview and just look at it. And if you want to take the entire course, we'll just send you the other link so we can keep that for our own data. Is that what, Gina, what you're thinking as well?
Yes, thank you, Kim. That would be great. We definitely want you to check out the materials if you'd like to recommend them to your paraprofessionals or to your families. We would prefer you to do that in the preview course. Anyone that would be participating in the program right now would be part of our pilot study. So I would send them a consent form so that we can collect and analyze their data. And then I also give them instructions on how to download SimBraille font to their computer in case their computer does not currently support that. And then they get the instructions on how to sign up for Schoology, and they start working through at their pace. We would like to have this next pilot run through the summer, and to prepare our paraeducators for the fall. They can work on it on their own at their own pace through the summer. And you also don't have to complete it in order. I think Kim mentioned that earlier. So if they have a topic of interest that they know their students going to be working in a certain area in the fall, they can start there and be prepared, and then and work through it in a different order, and an order that makes sense to them.
Also, along with that, it's definitely leveled. Like if you went to Unit 5 before you understood, numbers and signs of operation, you'd be confused. But if you have an understanding, you just need to go to a different topic, then that would probably work. And if you didn't know assembly, you'd probably have to skip back a few units and find out what it was.
And speaking to a comment that Adrian made earlier about refresher, if you are a TVI who knows Braille and feels some confidence and proficiency in Braille, but maybe just needs to look up a few of the symbols, or maybe you have a student who's coming in and taking some higher math, the Nemeth code I think is particularly helpful, because it has a lot of depth to it, and you can poke around in there. So you may feel really good about a lot of your skills, but might need some support with, say, like superscripts and subscripts. So you can go in and directly look at only that lesson and skip around. And so I think that preview course is also really helpful to support you in that need too.
So to just clarify from an outside perspective here, the preview course gives you full access to everything, but it doesn't essentially mess with your study, which if I want to participate in the course and I know I want to go from point A to point Z, then sign up fully, help you guys with your research. And I'm also time restrained, it sounds like I'm committing to getting through those courses by the end of your section, which the next one will be done at the end of summer.
I don't think that there's a actual time restriction on the program itself.
Right.
We're just collecting data at specific times. And also the preview course, all the courses are the same, they just have different labels. Like when we've sent them to universities for a professor to use it in their program, we put the professor's name by it. And we just put preview by it. So we go, oh, that's the one we're just sending out to people so that they can play around with it and they can do whatever they want. They can get things wrong, they can get things right, they can mess it up, they can, mess with the scores. They can, just click here and click there. And we won't pull that data is what it means.
So let me give some use case scenarios from people I recognize here. So say they're a dorm counselor at CSB or a teaching assistant at CSB, and committing to a time frame of I want to be done in a certain amount of months might be hard, but let's say they had a goal of I'll finish it next year or the next 14 months. Is that something you're recommending they don't do, that they don't sign up as part of the study? Or I'm not hearing total.
I think it's okay if they sign up as part of the study. We just need to know what their what their timeline is. I think that would help us as well.
And what we're doing is, if we know that it's the person signing up is a parent or a paraprofessional, which I think we'll get on the, Gina sends out like a little questionnaire right in the beginning, so we actually do know that information. I don't expect my paraprofessionals to get through the end of Nemeth. That's kind of ludicrous. My student's a kindergartner. You know, yeah. I said, you know, you need to go through these first 3 units, period. Next year, we'll review this and maybe do 2 more. So I'm not expecting people to go through the whole, I'm not expecting them to finish the course.
Awesome. I just want to make sure that we are supporting you guys as much as possible, because part of the beauty of your research is that this is going to become one sweet tool in the future, be more cohesive, like you said. So I want to make sure people are not feeling intimidated by the study and that they're signing up the right way.
If it helps, there's 2 different pieces of data that we're looking for. One is people's opinions. So if you do poke around in it, and if you do take it deliberately, we want your opinion. So we might send you a survey and just say, hey, how's it look? And you saw some of the questions that we were asking our users. It's about the quality of the material. So it doesn't matter if you use it deliberately or you poke around. It would be great if you could fill out that opinion survey. But if you do use it deliberately, then we're also looking at performance data, because at the end of this, we do want to train professionals and we want them to reach some level of proficiency. So for example, in the university personnel preparation programs that we're working with, we are looking for a level of proficiency to say that our teachers who use these materials are proficient in Braille.
Awesome. Anybody have any other questions?
How do you define proficient in Braille? I mean, you know, that's a term that begs to have a boundary on it, right? But I'm curious, what parameters are you looking at?
Well,
so we have for the, go ahead, Kim.
The parameters we use for proficiency was the competency tests that are given out to TVIs. There's a number of tests through the nation, California, Texas, and the Praxis we used also, that they would have that base Braille, at least that basic Braille proficiency to be able to pass a competency test. That was our standard.
Got it. Thanks.
Well, I know that we're hitting the top of the hour, and so we really want to thank you for your time and for joining us today and letting us share some of our work with you. I'll put my email in the chat window as well, and Gina's is there as well, and feel free to reach out to us with any comments about the presentation, or if you would like to sign up or have others sign up, and also just pass on our information, and we're happy to speak with people who may, through word of mouth, also hear of the project.
What was the name of it again? The name of the project again, just to be.
Braille Brain. The
Braille Brain
Project.
Braille Brain Project. Okay, great.
Yeah.
And was the app that you guys had to go along with it, is that something you needed to have in order to be able to finish the program, or was that just kind of like an extra help?
It's extra help, and it is supporting a lot of our pre-service teachers and also getting the technology skills that they need, because it does require an iPad and a Braille display to be able to get through the app.
Okay, thank you.
Really appreciate what you guys are doing. It's fun to bring people into the cutting edge of program development and curricula development. It's exciting. It looks so friendly. And in following along with Reading Adventure Time, Writing Adventure Time, I trust that it is friendly throughout, and it's really neat that you're targeting this audience for a variety of reasons. One of them deep to my own delight would be to find some future TVIs in this mix, right? Like let's train our paras and our parents and let them learn Braille to a degree of their own satisfaction with their student, or go further, right? And then be motivated from there to consider this profession. And let's raise the expectation of those people around our students. Let's raise it for our paras, let's raise it for our parents. Let's make sure that our kids are fully supported everywhere they go. And you guys are actively working on that. And I truly appreciate it. I really appreciate that you came to Tuesday Tea. Everybody, next week, there's no Tuesday Tea. We are done for the 2020-2021 school year. We will come back with more Tuesday Teas and webinars and all the other stuff you've come to expect from the School for the Blind. We will be back in the new school year. Again, if you have content, whether it's your own that you'd like to share, or you know about somebody else doing something fantastic, feel free to reach out to me directly or anybody on our team, and encourage us to get in touch, and we will make that happen. Thank you very much.